Hey Lisa,
Hi, how are you?
good. How you doing?
Good. Let's see. I heard from Idel, Sophie, and Marilyn, and none of them will be able to make it today.
That's Harry's birthday today.
Yeah. Wow. I guess those still happen, right?
No, no, not anymore. Hey, did you get my message that Rosemary said yes about the 12th?
Yeah, but I forgot. I just was at the restaurant, I think, when I got it. So I was going to ask you, but what is the meetup for? Is it just?
Just a bunch of people. Jane Gibb was on our call, but it's a whole combination of people. And one guy she wants us all to meet is paying to be have a match done for him.
Oh, yeah.
And he's going to tell us about that.
Okay.
Hey, Mary Beth.
Good morning.
So I will look, Janet. I wrote it down, so I'll look and see if I can make it.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. How did the showing go this weekend?
Hundreds of people. We're already 200,000 over the asking price.
Yeah, I was talking to my friends who are big wig agents up in LA, Pasadena area, and they said your agent did exactly what they're supposed to do. So
She's the top. She's if anybody ever wants to sell or buy, my gosh, she just has gone over, done so well with us. And it looks like this mansion. And we have more people coming through tonight. So I have to, when I finish work, go clean everything all over again and make it look like a staged house.
so but did you receive you've received offers though, right?
Uh-huh.
But
4
you've
off.
not accepted any yet?
No.
Just waiting to see if you get 300,000 or 500,000 over asking.
Yeah. It's so funny. I always said to Mike, we're going to get all this. He wouldn't believe me. So he's got to drink a glass of wine now because that's his payment for not believing me.
Wow, that seems kind of a raw deal for him.
He doesn't like to drink.
No, I know. Wow.
That's
Well,
so
very,
funny.
very, very exciting.
Look at everybody here. So it's Donna, right? Right?
Morning. Good morning.
Good morning. And Mary Beth and Betty. Yeah. Betty's getting long hair again. It's so pretty.
I know, I'm getting it cut on Thursday. It's a little wild.
Yeah, but you have nice curls, Betty.
Thank you.
I was thinking the same thing.
Thank you.
I wouldn't cut those curls.
Well, I wouldn't either. They're so thick and gorgeous.
Yeah, I just need a trim. I think I need to get a little, just clean it up a little bit. So
Reshape it.
yeah. So
And how's Riley doing?
Riley, how are you doing? She's right here. Just come say hello. She's doing really well. She's on a cooked diet, which she loves. She's no longer on a raw diet. So she's doing well, right, sweetie?
Why was she on a raw diet?
That's what she's been eating. She's been on a raw diet since she was a puppy, since, that's what she was on. So that's what I was feeding her. And she was having a lot of GI stuff. And I went to this new integrative vet and he said, let's try something different. So we tried her on a cooked diet and she really is doing much better.
Really?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
So are you cooking it yourself?
I'm cooking it myself. It's a labor of love.
Yeah. I know Colleen makes her dogs. She buys those rotisserie chickens from Costco. And that's what they get, the rotisserie chicken and some type of dry food. So yeah.
Yeah.
I do.
What I do is I make a big pot of it and then I freeze it. I freeze it in little containers and then, so I always have it. Yeah.
That's
So.
good because I do brown rice, the chicken that you do, and green beans for my little babies. They're so spoiled.
Yeah, I do spinach. She loves spinach.
Wow.
There's
Yeah.
Ilona.
I had a friend tell me feed your dogs watermelon. They like watermelon a lot and it's really good. And then they said, in the summer when it's really hot, just stick it in the freezer so they have a frozen treat. And I don't have a dog, but I'm like, I tell everybody, give your dog watermelon. They really like it. I babysat a dog one weekend and she had this very specific diet, you know, food and vitamins you had to put in it and hemp seed and all this stuff. And so, and which I did very good job of feeding them. And then at night I'd give them a big bowl of watermelon. And she picked him up 3 days later and I told her and she goes, "You did what?" I said, "Oh yeah, he loved it." And she goes, "He's never had table food ever." And I'm like looking at her going, "Well, now he has." And he liked it. We exercised that dog. We played with him at the park. We did Frisbee. We took him for huge walks, you know. And she said when she got him home, he didn't move for 2 days. Just doing what you're supposed to do with dogs.
That's exactly.
You want to hear a great story? One of my hospice patients had a dog and she died about a month ago. And I said to the woman, and she was single, she didn't have, you know, she had no family, but she had people who were connected to her, right? So I said, "What's going to happen with the dog?" Right? She had this little dog. And they said, "Well, you know, we're going to have to try to give her away, you know, give her to someone." And so, and that was it. That's like the last I heard. And then the caretaker called me for something else. I said, "What's up with the dog? What happened with the dog?" So she told me that the dog was taken by a young couple, the children, the son and wife of some friends from church who took senior dogs in. This dog was a senior dog. The dog has lost like 10 pounds and she's exercising. He's doing really, really well. I'm so happy. It was a great story.
Dog went on a diet.
Yeah, and he has a new young, because she said all the dog did was sit on the couch with this poor woman who was ill, chronically ill.
Mm.
So he was fat, you know. But anyway, so he's living his best life at 10 years old.
Excellent.
I was listening to this story today about this couple that have dated for 37 years. And
Wow.
they, second or late in their life relationship. So dated for 37 years and he had proposed almost annually since they had been dating. So anyhow, she had a heart attack. And so he was holding her hand and they were waiting for the paramedics to get there. And he said, "I'm just here to make you comfortable and ask you again, will you marry me?"
Oh,
And she said, "You would think I would have said a long time ago, yes. But now that I'm 92 and having a heart attack, yes, I will marry you." So at 92 years old, she's getting married.
God bless her.
37 years of him asking. So I have a friend also that was with his girlfriend for 26 years. Asked her about 3 or 4 times and finally told her, "I'll never ask you again." And so they just got married last month. They've been together 27 years now. They just got married. So make sure you mean no when you say no. That didn't sound very feminist, but so I'm hoping that Marie joins us today. I haven't heard that she's not going to be here. If not, we will sidestep today the 4 agreements, but I'm sure she'll be here. She specifically asked me last week to reschedule for today because she was in Florida. So if not, I know between all of us, we always have something to talk about. So I might actually just text her right now just to make sure, just to remind her.
and I wonder, I'm not prepared to do a meditation. Ilona, are you, or is anybody who could do anything to?
Pull something off. I can always pull something off.
Yes, you can. You're amazing.
There's more than enough to pull off right now, that's for sure.
For sure.
Betty, what happened to Riley? Was this her stomach upset?
She's had GI stuff almost the 2 years that I've had her.
Okay.
So this is just, so it's just, I went to another vet, an integrative vet, who totally gave her a different diet. Yeah, so really, yeah. She's doing, yeah, she's doing well.
Okay, so we'll give her a few more minutes and see if she joins us. And if not, yeah, we're all pretty good at spontaneity, right?
I think there's so many things from that book. Hi, Lynn, that we
Hi,
could,
everyone.
that we could really find out and discuss, because I think we're all trying to figure this out and do the best job we can. So I think it could be really helpful. Liz is driving to the doctor, right, Liz? She can't talk.
Yeah, we're all over the place. It's been a morning.
It's
Oh,
amazing she can make
are
it.
you okay, or is it just a checkup?
Oh yeah, I'm going to get my IUD situation. My body kind of rejected it the last time, so we're gonna try again today.
We'll be sending you good energy. That is not a fun thing to do.
Well, I'm not excited about it. I mean, I am and I'm not.
Think past it, Liz. Think past it.
Yeah, no, exactly. So yeah, everything is good. It's we were having car stuff this morning too, so it's just been really chaotic, but you know, it'll die down.
And you're not driving, right?
No, Dan, yeah, Dan.
Dan's driving.
Hi,
Yeah.
Dan.
Ladies, why don't we do this? Maybe Ilona, if you want to lead us in a meditation, and then we'll see who's with us when we finish, when we come out on the other side.
Do you want one related to doing your best, or do you want one just related to what's happening now?
I think doing your best would be nice. Janet would prefer related to.
You know, what's happening now? I get so many people calling saying we're going into World War III. Panic is just setting in. Her video is not working for Colleen. And so I'm wondering if we could do something on that, because I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm getting a lot of that energy of trying to cope with it for myself and others.
No problem. It's very easy to do.
I have Marilyn's protection prayer up. Do you want me to do it?
Yes,
Oh,
please,
good.
Mary Beth, because I was just going to look for it. So if you've got it, you do it.
I've got it. All right.
What a great group effort here, right?
Deep breath. I clothe myself in a robe of light composed of the love, strength, and wisdom of divine consciousness. I wear it for my own protection and for the protection of those who see it or come into contact with it, so they will be drawn to divine consciousness and healed and go on to their highest good. Thank you, Marilyn.
Thank you. Thank you, Mary Beth.
I'm going to ask you to pick up some of your stones to use for this meditation. Whichever ones speak to you, just pick them up. You can have in front of you, you can have some at your lap, you can put some at your feet.
Joshi, come right down.
As you relax into their assistance and their help, this one is a good one for you to have your feet flat on the floor. And so imagine that you are in a waterfall of golden liquid light. Feel the golden liquid light descending around you and through you. And feel a stream of this golden liquid light descending into Moscow, into Putin, into Vladimir Zelensky, into all NATO leaders. Feel the golden light moving into every Ukrainian, and surrounding them and their pets, their properties, with this golden energy of strength, illumination, and protection. Now imagine a massive hurricane force wind of lavender energy. Instead of coming from the sky and moving to the earth, feel it as an opposite tornado, taking the trauma and destruction of every kingdom of nature from the surface of the Ukraine all the way out to the edge of the atmosphere. All the trauma, all the hurt, all the dismay, all the outrage, all the anger, all the disgust, all the grief, to the edge of the atmosphere to be burned up in the light of the sun. And see this reverse tornado, this hurricane, violent hurricane of release. See this placed on automatic for the next 3 weeks all over Ukraine. And now imagine the descent of beautiful golden angels moving into the areas of conflict and reaching for the souls of those who have traumatically died, and encourage those souls to take the hands of these angels and rise out of the trauma and into a heavenly hospital with their loved ones and their neighbors. See the same thing occurring for the Russian soldiers. And relax into this golden liquid light. And if you so choose, from your third eye, your heart, and your belly, send strength to all those in these regions of conflict. Now we call forth the golden angels to descend into and around Vladimir Putin. And we're also calling forth any medical and psychiatric healing teams able to assist in the well-being of this leader on the earth and support his highest good. And lastly, we ask for extraterrestrial assistance to block and to disarm all nuclear armaments so that they will not be deployed in any way, shape, or form forever on the earth. You can feel golden domes of lavender and gold being placed over missile silos. And so it is.
Thank you, Ilona. Appreciate that so much. And hi, Marie.
Hi. So sorry, you guys. I looked at the clock and I thought it was 9:20. I looked and it was 10:20 and I was like, oh, so very sorry.
That's
We're glad you're
okay.
here.
Ilona took us on a nice journey this morning and, hopefulness, right? So, Marie, did you have your breathing class?
Yes.
How did
Yeah,
it go?
it went very, very well. It was, the feedback was amazing and people felt really good. So it accomplished what it needed to accomplish.
Good. I see Liz shaking her head and Maria. So you guys went, I'm guessing.
How are
So
you feeling, Liz? Oh, good.
she's in.
Really good. I felt like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. It was incredible.
Oh, good. I'm
Good.
so glad. I'm so glad.
My aunt said, I wish they do this on a weekly basis. I sure could use it every week.
So Marie, I know that have you caught your breath? I've only been here for 4 minutes. So
I'm so sorry. And it's funny because I was listening to the Audible this morning, and he was talking about, taking care of yourself and doing your very best and not going beyond or below. And I thought, well, I did my very best because I thought it was 9:20 and it was 10.
So one of the things that I liked about this last agreement, first of all, I think it's the easiest one. And, when I was raising Spencer, my whole goal was just to raise a kind person, just someone that was kind. And I figured if he was kind, everything would fall into place. And so when I'm reading this chapter, that's kind of the feeling I'm getting, about being kind to yourself, about being kind to others, that it all just kind of falls into place, including the other agreements. So I also liked in this chapter 2 that he allowed us to be able to realize that we can't always be perfect, impeccable with our word. And I like that too. Because as much as I try, and then I think afterwards, oh, that wasn't impeccable with your word, Lisa. I realize and I appreciate that he saw that and knew that that was all of us, that were human, right? So anyway, that's all I have to say about that chapter. But I think this one was my favorite one.
Oh, I'm glad. So the fourth agreement, which is, always do your best, is actually the action part of the first agreement. This is the agreement that will help you, continue in implementing the other three agreements, because it just automatically puts you in check when you are doing your best. And what I loved about the book is that, yes, he gave you, in this particular chapter, he gave you permission to be human. Basically, because he talked about, I think one said, if you were inebriated, then your very best is going to be very different from when you are in your full senses, right? So, but it's as long as you work at doing your best, not more and not less, because he actually describes if you do more and if you do less, that you are in that struggle. And to be honest with you, I think that this is one agreement that I really truly do struggle, because I'm a type A, so I'm always wanting to go above and beyond. And as of recent, I've had to learn to take it back a notch, and I've been working with Ilona, because I remember when, what was it? Not this January, but the January before, when I was talking to Ilona, she said, it's going to take a whole year for you to recover and have your health come back up to par. And in my mind, I was like, no, it'll be a couple of months and I'll be good to go. Well, guess what? She was 100% right. And then some. It really took all that time where I just had to do my best and not go above and beyond and push my body into places that it didn't need to be pushed into. And so that was a lesson that I'm still learning now, because I'm an overachiever. And when you go to grad school, you are taught to just keep going and going and going until you just can't give anymore. So I needed to hear this again, and many more times, I think, is that we just do our best not to go above that and not to go below that, because the whole key is to stay in what you can realistically do. And if you live in the United States, it's very hard to do that. I think the Europeans have it down.
Maria, I'd like to ask something of Ilona too, because when you did the meditation, Ilona, and you were, and it comes back to doing our best, like you're visualizing a sociopath with the, recovering and the angels healing him. And I'm going, from my knowledge, I couldn't visualize it, or keeping the nuclear arms under wrap, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, my beliefs are limited, which are then limiting what can happen in the world, because I would love exactly what you said. It's heartbreaking to know that. And so I'd love to apply it to that, to kind of unite both of those, because you didn't get to hear the meditation, right, Marie?
No.
But it was very impactful. And so I would love to hear what we can do about that, Because I don't want to limit anything. Yeah.
So can you, so I'm a little lost and I'd like to answer your query, but I'm not exactly sure what I'm answering.
So my brain limits what I can imagine. And then when you were saying, imagine him being healed, imagine the nuclear arms being protected and they never go off again or whatever. And I'm going, I would love this, but why do I hit a stop sign? You know, I guess my training, like Marie is saying, in sociopathology, it doesn't get better. It doesn't.
Right. So I think, in terms of always doing your best, we can only do our best to the level of what we're aware of. So the deeper you go into soul awareness, soul empowerment, and soul embodiment, the bigger your vision becomes. A third dimensional brain isn't going to conceive of those realities because a third dimensional ego doesn't even give validation to things that it doesn't know exists. It doesn't exist to the ego. So the mind is not going to call that forward. But when the mind and the soul are working together with the heart and the body as one, all of these possibilities open up as realities because you're now living a much bigger life. Right. So it's about the quality of the life that you live and the bigness of that. And I would tie that back, Marie, to when he says God is life, God is love in action. The best way to say, I love you, God, is to live your life doing your best.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And so, to say I love you, God, by living your best life means that you expand yourself to the greatest degree possible. And the deeper you settle into your soul, the greater your expansion, the greater your awareness, and the greater your ability to call forth this kind of assistance. So I think everything has to do with your willingness to grow into your soul and to allow the ego to melt into the mind of the soul and to understand how to serve the larger process rather than hold on to only what it knows and believes.
So Ilona, when you do that, you were asking the angels and guides and people to come help us. I guess I can do that because I know I can't do it, but I can ask. Yes. Okay. So, okay. Thank you. I get it now.
Yes, these are absolute presences and metaphysical tools that are available to be used by multiple civilizations. So these are some that are here for us, but they've been used in many other worlds and many other applications. Absolutely.
Cool.
Janet, the other piece to this is, because I didn't get to listen to the meditation, I missed that. I'm gonna have to listen to when Lisa puts it up. But one of the things he does talk about in this chapter is he gives you, not this chapter, but the next one, which I think we should probably add another week because we need to get to the Toltec way. But in that chapter, he talks about how do you begin to work through this and doing your best. And one is to begin to break through some of those agreements that you've created in your book of law. And he suggests to start with the little agreements, and what you're talking about is some of our way of thinking. If we can catch ourselves, then we can begin to break little by little those agreements that we've created in our book of law.
I get it.
I think about the way I was raised in the culture, and I'll use the easiest example because I have a daughter that is gay, and I was raised during a time where it was still not okay. And I remember my grandmother, we had an uncle that was gay. I didn't know. He was just funny and witty, and we just loved him. But after he would leave, she would always admonish us and tell us, don't talk to anybody about, the way he is. I had no idea as a kid that it was a big deal, right? And her concern was to protect him because he didn't want him to get hurt. And I do remember as a child, one day he came in and he looked like he had been beaten up. He was bloody and all kinds of things. That was the first time that I understood it was not okay to be who he was, right? And that agreement, my grandmother taught me that agreement, and it stayed with me. And when my daughter told me that she was gay, the first thing that came to me wasn't that she was gay, it was like, how am I going to keep her safe?
Mm-hmm.
How am I going to keep her safe in this world? And my conversation with her was like, we need to do things to keep you safe. Good thing she didn't listen to me. because she's fine and she has, her life is great. But that was the first fear that came up, and that came from my book of law, that I was taught that it wasn't safe to be who you are.
Yeah.
So it's breaking through those agreements.
So I would say that the entire world, the Western world, is being challenged to break through the agreements that have been in place since Western civilization was developed. The fight that happened in the United States between Biden and Trump is the same fight that's now on the global stage. It's not any different. The United States was able to eke out a win, and I mean eke out a win. And now that larger issue is placed on the global stage for us to collectively decide, how are we going to eke out a win? What are we going to do this time? Because we have to dismantle the entire way we understand capitalistic domination. A capitalist will always dominate because profit is more important than anything else. Period. End of story. So what's happening on the global stage is a massive awakening that determines how we collectively move forward and in what mindset that looks like.
I hope you help us.
We're on it. We're definitely on it, but this isn't something we can do. Humanity has to make its choice. We can support, we can nudge, we can influence, but it's a free will planet. We can't do anything other than that.
So, Marie, can I ask you a question? This is a little sidestep to what Ilona was saying, but you were talking about, not above or not below. Is it about doing, it's about doing your best, but authentically 100% doing your best and not trying to do more because you think doing more is better.
Yeah. When we do more, we're in the pursuit of perfectionism. Because that's what we've been taught from the beginning of time, is to be this person above who we are, right? It's that perfectionistic way of looking at things. And when you go above that, honestly, from my own experience, because I've always been that overachiever, it caught up with me. Physically, it caught up with me. And so now it's been about me learning not to exceed something and be this perfect being that I thought, my kids call me the Mexican Martha Stewart, right? Because I'm always that overachiever, want everything to be perfect. And that has been my learning, that I don't need to be that to be who I am. So I am working at doing my best and not going above and beyond and putting myself out there again, rather than just working with what I've got. And in the chapter, it tells you when you do that, things naturally fall into their place. He used Forrest Gump as a great example.
Yeah.
He is a perfect example of that he wasn't, this huge thinker. He just did. He was in action. He did his best with what he had, and he was naturally rewarded for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I in regards to what Ilona was talking about and what you were talking about, that's, I think probably for a lot of us on here that's our, let's go get it. Let's go do this. Let's solve the world. Let's take care of everybody, all our friends and family. And if you stop and think about it, you're really not giving the best of you to one purpose. You're spreading it thin, basically, I guess. Because I look at what Ilona, what you're talking about on the world stage right now, and that gives me grave concern, right? And so I want to take care of everybody, and I want to, open up my house and have all the Ukrainians come live here until they can figure it out, that kind of stuff. But the quality isn't there if I'm putting it out there at that extent. It's better just to try and focus on the things that I know that I can attack with good quality. That's my takeaway. Okay. Yes, Maria.
Yes. And I especially love tying into that, where it states in the book that we need to break the spell of our need to be the best, to do our, over and beyond, because you are not here to sacrifice your joy or your life. You are here to live, to be happy, and to love. I love that because that just ties into, if you really be aware of what is going to make you happy and in that vibration of love, then that is your best.
Right.
That is, you can be your best.
Right.
So I love that line. I wrote that down because that's the constant reminder. And then when I mentally think, oh, I haven't done my best, I failed at this, I push that aside and say, nope, I did the best I could.
And that actually keeps you in alignment, is by accepting.
Yes.
But that squashes the judger in you,
Right.
the victim in you, because you know you did your best. That is your truth.
Right. And I return back to where I know my truth is.
Exactly. So, but it doesn't take away the fact that we're human beings and we have struggles, right?
Yep.
And that's part of the process of doing your best, is accepting who you are, that we are going to be perfectly imperfect.
And
that's
I have found almost a comic enjoyment in I'm human. So now I've turned it into really laughing at myself, with myself, and the fact that I'm alive and human, and like, okay, continue.
Yeah. But it certainly brings it out to the forefront. I mean, I think that prior to reading this book, all of that was in our heads, but just kind of garbled, right? Now it seems like now we have labels for everything that we're feeling, and yeah, and focus is better, on exactly what you say, what you do, and how you do it. So yeah, that's what I'm appreciating the most, I think, about this book, is that every chapter I'm now more aware of, whether or not I can pull this off, I don't know, but I'm aware of it as I'm trying.
And that's the beauty, is that you're aware, and that's where it begins, through awareness.
Right.
That is the first stage of transformation, right? It's that mastery of awareness, so that you can move into the mastery of transformation, which is the 4 agreements. And then once you get, I'm going to honestly say that the first agreement, I do not believe it's one that we will ever master, because it's constantly evolving as we evolve. But can we get better at it? Absolutely. And when you get better at it, then it allows and opens up the space for you to enter into the mastery of love, the mastery of intention. So, and I think all of us in this group are well on our way.
Good.
Well on our way.
I would love to ask Betty and Ilona. There was a podcast the other day I was listening to, and it talked about how we as human beings have to realize we're imperfect in an imperfect world, so that we don't expect perfection, but we do expect perfection, like you were saying, Marie, that we want that of ourselves and of the world and all that. But then he said that because you do hospice work, and Ilona, your knowledge, he said he had a near-death experience, and what happened in his spiritual form, everybody he had ever hurt came towards him to tell him how much he had hurt them. And he said, when you're in the spiritual form, how painful it is to see, because you're so light and you're thinking how dense we were down here. And I went, oh, I'm not ready to die, because I don't want to hear all this. I mean, it was like really bad to hear. He said, it's 100 times worse than what you even thought it was. It was like,
where I wish Marilyn were here, because she talks to us about that all the time,
Right.
on Life Review. So yeah.
Wow.
Betty, do you want to take this first? No. Okay.
Oh, go ahead, sorry.
So one of the things that is really, if we can get this down, and if we could teach our children this really early on, it's okay to make mistakes, but it's not okay to not fix them. And every mistake that you didn't fix follows you from lifetime to lifetime to lifetime. No one gets away with anything. You're just not going to see the consequence immediately. So to avoid that experience, It's okay to explore, to experiment, to fall on your face, to succeed, to do whatever. But when you know something has gone awry, take the steps to fix it. If the other person won't forgive you, that's on that person, but at least you did your best. And fixing it isn't just about platitudes. Most of the times it requires changing ourselves to fix something that went really wrong. And then when we're able to be at peace with that and we leave with unfinished business, we get to move on to places in the heavenly realms that allow us to have true value for the people that we've left behind that we never have when we leave burdened by all of this unfinished business.
I needed to hear that. Thank you. I really, really, really needed to hear that. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it's making me look back right now. I'm like, what can I fix?
I know. So, like I'd like to give an example. When I was young, I didn't know about truck drivers and how hard it is to stop a truck. And I was just young, and I pulled up in front of a truck, and I saw the smoke, and he's squealing his wheels. He didn't hit me, but man, I traumatized him, I'm sure. And so, like, I try to every truck driver, let him in, do everything, but I can't go back to that guy that probably had, his blood pressure went up to so much because of my stupidity or whatever. How do you?
But what you can do, Janet, is you can, through your soul, send a request for forgiveness to that driver. Your soul knows who that driver is. Your soul can put that request out there. He can receive an energy that says, I'm so sorry to have done that to you. And it can dissolve in his auric field and not carry it. There's ways to heal these things above and beyond what we know.
Okay. Sounds good.
I have a question. So let's say that it's not as much like what you did to somebody else, but what somebody did to you. Like, can you like okay, for an example, so my mom's brothers, I guess technically my uncles, but whatever, they did a lot of bad things to our family, and it my sister and I are both very resentful of them because they kind of they left us in a situation where we didn't have a home, and uh I maybe I should go more in depth. Okay, so our house burned down when I was like 13 or 14, and the house title was under their name, and but my family had put the down payment down and was paying the mortgage. They were homeowners themselves, but after the house burned down, because they didn't like the way my sister was, like, more Americanized than more into the Armenian culture, they a few things happened and they just said, well, we're kicking you guys all out, including their own mother. So they left us homeless, even though it was our home, because the house title was in their name. And now they have this house, and we're all struggling, wishing one day we can own a home. And I just have like I get so frustrated because I'm like, they have no like there's no what's that word? Oh my gosh, my brain.
Awareness.
Remorse. There's no
Remorse.
remorse.
There's no remorse. In fact, I saw one of them at a funeral a few years back, and they looked at me like they wanted me dead. Like, I'm not even kidding. They like I didn't even deserve to breathe the same air that they breathe. And there's no remorse. And I have so much anger because I'm like, there's no consequences to this behavior. Like, they are just so evil, and there's no consequence. Like, they're just happy. Their businesses are thriving, and not that I want anybody to fail, but there's no remorse. And so I carry a lot of anger with me, and I don't know like how to put it out in the universe where it just resolves. You know what I mean? I don't know.
So I'm just going to say that, Liz, you're not seeing consequences, but consequences will occur. You're just not going to see it. You're not going to know it. And it's not for you to know, right? It's what they've done that they will have to pay for in a variety of ways. And the biggest way to move beyond something like this, which is unconscionable and extremely painful, is to be a success yourself, so that there's no need of anything that they could ever provide for you, because you don't need them. You figured out how to really create that home for yourself. And it's different here because you've got family members that were also thrown out. You've got other cultural associations going on. But the bottom line is, if you're going to keep looking for consequences, you're going to be miserable.
That's fair. Yeah. And you're right, because I'm the one that I feel like, when you're angry, you're not hurting anybody else or anything else. And I don't want to, but you're hurting yourself. Like, and so I feel it a lot. So I think you're absolutely right. So thank you.
Elizabeth, I've been working personally with the Akashic Records in the last couple of months. And the one thing that's really coming into play is, because we've had so many, this is just a sliver of a lifetime that we have. And, we've lived so many other lifetimes. You've been you've been your uncles, we've been in all these different situations that, when we look at this three-dimensional life, if you look at it through a three-dimensional lens, all you see is, remorse or revenge, but when you see it from like a bigger lens, like that, as Ilona said, we may not see ways in which they're going to be impacted, but they will be impacted this lifetime, next lifetime, like we all are. Past, present, and future is really kind of all us. It's all of our experience. And it's been very interesting for me to kind of uncover the ways in which past lives have followed me here, in situations, and ways in which I am, and trying to break out of that. So I think, Elizabeth, part of that is just really trying to break out of that chain of that mindset of like, what's happening now is real. It's not real. There's so much, there's so many reals in our life.
True. Yeah. I totally agree. Thank you so much. Yeah, no, I think I needed to hear it. It's just,
I really have something to say on this. And I agree 100% with what has already been said. And so my whole thing, what I am been learning all my life, and what I am really working on doing, is learning how to express myself in a safe manner. And I do not expect a response. That's what has gotten me in trouble in the past, in expressing myself and expecting somebody to hear what I'm really saying. So what I can add to this, 2 points. One is that these folks, they're like some kind of relative or something to do with you, correct?
yeah.
And this happened to you when you were a very young age.
Yeah.
It was truly, I mean, I would say it was truly immoral and unethical.
Yeah.
And so today, I could not possibly expect them to understand me nor do anything about it. However, I believe that it's extremely important to voice myself, and try to voice myself in a way that they may be able to hear me. If they cannot hear me, that's fine. But for me to stand up and voice myself, it's reminding me very much. I watch these programs about rape cases, and they have to stand up for themselves and take their rapists to trial just to bring back their dignity. And to me, that's what I'm hearing, that You were a child. And it was a type of a rape to your whole family.
Yeah.
So what I would do is I would try to figure out some letter. It might take me a year to write it, but to be able to state my truth and how it affected me as a child then, and what it left me with, and what the burden that I have to overcome to rise up to become that independent and wealthy person having a home again, which should be indigenous.
Right.
To think that we have to be healthy or wealthy to have a home is a very immoral, in my opinion, stand to take. And that's what they did. You know, for whatever reason they justified it, they took something that was indigenous, a home for children, and they took it away.
Yeah.
And to me,
It was
that I would not be able to, I would be the same with you. I would not, it would be eating me up. And so I know, of course, it's up to me to develop my wealth, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
But that part, and being able to let it go off of me, is very important for me to express myself and for me to know that I have been heard. Whether they hear it the way I want them to hear it, that's on them. But I need to claim that space in order for me to go to the next step. So in other words, I wouldn't care if they respond or not. It's something that I need to do literally with them. I can't just do it with the air and prayers, which prayers help tremendously. I believe that you can start praying and start sending that vibe out so that when you do send a letter, they will be able to receive it more. Okay? So the second point that I'd like to make, the idea about fixing it, or that, you know, these folks did something really heavy duty and that they're going to get consequences. Well, I think that we can all agree that naturally, logically, it seems that they would have consequences, okay? However, that's not for us. That's God's work. That's karmic work. And for us to even wish that they have consequences or hope that they have consequences is a type of a revenge. So that's like building up some more karma. It's like, just let it go.
Yeah.
Let them be well and go on. And if they are wealthy for the rest of the life and whatever, you know, they might have consequences 5 lifetimes from now.
Yeah.
That can't be my desire. I cannot moggle my mind with that idea because it holds me back.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I think you're right. I have been, you know, considering a letter and I need to do it. Yeah, it happened at quite a terrible time. It happened a year after my mom passed away, and she passed away in that house. So, you know, it just was a lot at that time. But yeah, no, I think you're right about the letter. I think, you know, yeah, I need to sit down and do that. It's something I've thrown around. And it's also amazing to see you again. I feel like it's been a while since I've seen you in the group. So it's good to see you again.
Just very simply, Liz, to start, try not to give your power to them. Your anger is giving them your power.
Yeah.
So dial the anger back, try to be kind to yourself, and then take the path with the letter that Sita laid out for you.
You're right.
The anger is that energy is taking away from you and your family.
Yeah. No, you're right. And oftentimes, you know, I mean, takes very little for my brain to go back to like how angry I am with them. So I just need to, you're right, like I just need to not give them my power, or give my power away to them by focusing on that. And I feel super selfish bringing this up because I know the state of the world is like, just, I don't know, it's heavy on my heart right now, you know, with everything happening in Ukraine and all the innocent people dying. And I don't know, I do feel selfish bringing it up, bringing this up.
But it's the same. It's people being, I mean, beyond lack of respect. It's people having domination over others because they think they can, and then they do it.
Yeah, it's
So
just not,
it's the same.
yeah. Yeah, I think that's why whenever I see things that are just unjust, it affects me to the point where physically it makes me sick. Like you know, just reading about Ukraine and everything, it just has been making me physically ill. Like I'm nauseous, my shoulders and neck hurt, and like, you know, I'm always in tears. Like, why do innocent people have to die? Or why do innocent people, you know, the poor kids, like their whole worlds are being like turned upside down. I don't know. I just want to
Write
help
a
them.
letter to God. Write a letter to God and start and tell him everything that you're talking about and tell him all of the anger. And when you write your letter to those folks, you can tell them about all the anger. It doesn't mean that you are telling them off. You can be expressing your truth that you had anger and that you're still having anger. And this is why you're writing to them, because you really want to come from the place of love. That's why I say it could take you a year to write the letter. You've got to write it over and over. And the first ones will probably be full of anger. And you go, yes, I do not want them to read this. I have to do processing. So you go through layers and layers. And then when you read it and you state all the facts and you've stated everything that you've wanted to state, but yet the letter still sounds like it's coming from your love because that's who you are. I'm telling you, that'll make the most radical difference throughout your entire body.
You're right about that. Yeah. I hate greed. Like I hate what greediness does to people, to countries, to innocent bystanders and it just feels like that is where the world is right now, you know. It just, I don't know.
Well, my heart goes out to you because that was a terrible, terrible experience. It was a ripping of goodwill. And that's why I say it was a type of a rape, because your family, everybody, your mom dying, I mean, that was a ripping of goodwill.
Yeah.
And that is what's happening today. And we need to stand up for goodwill and not let us get pressured by these bullies and get us sucked into their bulliness. We're not going there. We're not sending that energy back. We're sending out love, and we're going to come back to love, full circle. That's how it all started. You know, I get all upset about it too. It's like, it's heavy duty.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I totally agree.
Yeah.
Let me get back to the book here, Marie. I didn't read ahead because I felt like the next chapter is a whole nother journey. One was breaking old agreements, which I think those are the ones we are born with, right? And so I didn't read ahead. I don't know if anyone else did, but I felt like it might be something we have to address on the next Zoom.
Yeah, I think the next Zoom. What he really just brings it all together. He gives you those pieces of wisdom of how do you begin with. I mean, each agreement he gives you how to go about it. He just brings it all together and really gives you the first steps to take as you're moving forward and how not to be part of the struggle. you know, as long as you're still accepting that you're human and that you're imperfect and that you're just doing your best, just doing your best as you move on through life.
Yeah. And I like the message of forgiving yourself. You know, I think that's an important message in there. So,
Yeah.
And I think of others too, you know, if we're just doing our best, we have to see that other people are doing their best, even when they do horrible things. I guess that's the best that they can do. You know, that's something I struggle with, because there's always a judgment there, you know, there's always a judgment about what other people are doing. And yet sometimes there are things that are so horrific, right? That you can't, you know, you can tell if something is good or evil, right? But I guess, I mean, that's what I struggle with when I see other people doing things and I say, well, they're also doing their best. It's not great, right? It's pretty awful. But maybe they are too. And the only place that I can go to is this kind of spiritual realm where I see it as, you know, I can't judge it. You know, maybe there's a reason for it, you know, and it'll, you know, whatever everyone is doing, again, they get, there's nothing goes unpunished, right? And nothing goes unrewarded or rewarded. So yeah, so when I think about that last chapter, that last agreement, it's like, yeah, I'm doing my best, but everyone else is doing their best too, you know.
What they got. And if you notice, all of
I'd like to do that too.
really is addressing the judge and the victim archetypes within us. It's really learning how to pay attention to what the judge and the victim are constantly feeding us and beginning to stop that dialogue and redirecting it. Right? Which is very hard because it's our nature to be judging, because that's how we've been indoctrinated into this world, right? Is through judgment. I myself have been working at it considerably since last year and into this year. It's being the observer and respecting. And if I'm called to do something because I feel this incredible need, then yes, I will do something. But if not, then I need to step back and observe and respect. Which, believe me, this is a lesson that I haven't quite yet mastered. I just keep working at it.
You know, the words, Maria, sometimes I'll go, this is interesting, instead of trying to judge it either way. This is interesting, even for things that I've done or other people are doing. This is interesting.
Donna, I wasn't sure. Did you unmute yourself to say something, or am I?
I did, but we might have moved past it. It was just the thought, and I don't remember where I heard this, but it was years and years ago, based on what Betty was saying, which is that no one ever thinks they're wrong. No one ever thinks that they're doing wrong, you know, and, you know, from their perspective, whatever they're doing, they feel justified, totally justified in doing. And so that's something I really try to keep in the back of my mind when I'm judging, and I'm really good at that. And I think it's a survival trait, or at least it was in the household that I grew up in. But yeah, that no one, the worst people, I don't even know if I want to characterize it that way, but that we would normally consider the worst people, they don't think they're wrong.
Yeah. No.
They think they're totally justified in doing what they're doing. They're doing the right thing according to their thought processes. And that makes it a little harder and a little easier to say, I forgive the stupidity of that behavior,
Yeah.
or the cruelty, or the, you know, whatever happens to be the appropriate adjective in the moment. But no, you're still wrong. But then I have to remember how much I'm wrong.
I don't think there's anyone here, Donna, that doesn't agree 1,000,000%. I mean, I can't even tell you that every time someone ever admitted that they were wrong to me, I put it on the calendar so I could go back one day and say, you were wrong this day, remember? You admitted. So, I think you take great joy in when someone admits to being wrong. So maybe that's why nobody does.
Could be.
Sita,
Well,
did you say something?
Yeah, I mean, what you said about I think, Betty, you said something about that people know whether they're being nice or not. To me, that's the big difference in a person doing all they can or not. And I do not think that trying to do overachieving is not doing the best you can, because that was the best you can at that time. I think doing the best you can with the purpose of being a good person to humanity is doing the best you can. So if you're trying to do something and you get exhausted and you forget about something else, you're still trying to do the best you can at that time, even if you're overachieving, and you may change your ways later on. I think the people that are not doing the best they can are the people that actually know they choose to be mean. And I have come to the conclusion, which it's taken me decades to really believe, that there's people that I know that literally try to be mean. It's like that is their intention. And it, you know, you think about that for the rapist or the murderer, but to me, that's the big definite, that's the big separate degrees of separation.
Yeah.
For what it's ever worth.
It was worth it. It's worth its weight in gold, Sita. So Liz, I hope we helped you today.
A lot. Thank you guys so much. I really needed this, I think.
Yeah. It's kind of cathartic just to share it, don't you think?
Yeah, it is. Again, I just felt so selfish, like talking about this with what's going on in the world, but also I guess it kind of does tie in, like, everything to me when I see what's going on, it's about greed. And so, it just kind of maybe triggered some things, for me, but it was very, very helpful. Today was very helpful.
I
Yes,
don't know.
we all
Safe
learn from it.
space to do
Yeah.
this, right?
Yeah.
This is a safe space. And
Yeah.
so this is where we do this processing.
Yeah.
And we've all done it. So you're not selfish. We've all taken up this space to do it at one time or another. And I'm so happy that you feel safe with us to do it.
Thank you. I do. You guys are just the biggest blessing. I always look forward to Mondays. Thank you so much.
And then you get to get an IUD after this. How fun, right?
Yeah. It's gonna be great.
Yay! Yay! Yay!
We're with you, Liz. It's not fun.
Yeah, I know. I you guys are giving me strength, so I appreciate it.
We're sending you strength.
So Marie, we reconvene next week after studying Breaking Old Agreements. Let me just ask you one question in relative to what everyone's been talking about, our last lives and our prior lives and fixing mistakes and blah, blah, blah. So if we fix the mistakes here and master the agreements, when we come back, do we have all the agreements or do we have to start all over again?
I
No.
would,
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Marie.
No, based on how much you fix here, you have a plan in the heavenly realms about when you will come back, why you will come back, and with what purposes. And when you've cleaned up enough here, you go much higher and the options change greatly. It's pretty cool.
I have some work to do. But okay, that's hopeful. I'm hopeful, Ilona. I hope everybody has a great week. I know there's a lot weighing us all down right now. So I think it was very helpful, Ilona, your meditation today to try to give us some strength and at least send out some light and love to those in need, including Mr. Putin. So I think we'll just continue to do that in our hearts and wish the best for everybody. Mary Beth, you're always really good at finding resources for people to, you always are telling me, oh, look in here, look, you're looking at me right now like, what the hell are you talking about? But you always have good resources. And if you come up with any resources or anybody else does of ways that we can help, or even if it's not monetary, anything we can do, let me know and I'll share it with everybody. So
I've got a good suggestion.
sure.
You know how you've been probably getting all the posts like I have been of the most beautiful colors and drawings of the Ukrainian people. And I just got an inspiration that by us using color and like maybe making a meditation in a drawing using color or a coloring book or something, and really putting the vibration out as we're doing that to initiate love. I just feel that that's something when we do something with our hands, I believe, and we try to touch somehow the ethers, I really do believe that it helps our prayers to go out.
Thank you, Sita. Ilona?
I was just going to say, keep visualizing the opposite tornado, right? From the ground up.
Love the tornado.
Yep.
Seeing that.
Okay. Well, we'll do it. Put our sources together this week and make it happen.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Bye,
Thank
everyone. Have a good week.
Love you guys.
Thank you,
Have a great
everyone.
week. Be safe.
Bye.
Have a great week.